Survivors of comas, what was it like? Had a major open heart surgery. Almost died and went into a 2-week coma after resuscitation. Being in the coma felt like sleeping soundly tbh. Had an endless series of random dreams. The last dream I had before waking up was that I was riding escalators for way too long. So long that I even thought to myself in the dream, that's strange. Why aren't I waking up? In a coma for 42 days. I don't remember a thing. Did your body feel all weird and weak when you woke up? My first memory after waking was being loaded on an ambulance to go to rehab. I couldn't speak and barely hold a pencil. I instantly knew I was paralyzed but was good with it because my mind was there. My accident happened on the 10th of May and I've been home for 4 weeks. Ducking weird. I was out for 9 days. Coma dreams are intense. Coming back from it was super strange too. A lot of questioning reality. Do you remember any of the dreams? Vividly. I won the Super Bowl. After I built the arena and had an operation to become a quarterback. Go Cowboys. I created an app that helped you poop. I shot my grandfather dead. I had a vag surgically tattooed onto the right side of my scrotum. Swallowed a bumper. Like I said. Weird sheet. I was in a medically induced coma for 3 weeks. All I remember is what it's like when they start pulling you out. I was having very vivid and strange dreams mixed with reality. Then one day I was able to recognize it was now September, but I remembered entering the hospital in August. They should have waited to wake you up when September ended. A motorcycle accident left me in a medically induced coma for about 2 weeks. I had weird dreams. I didn't know what had happened to me until I was woken up. I didn't know time had passed. I still remember the dreams. Do share. I was a skeleton with just eyes and I was laying on a mortician table rewatching my past memories on a bunch of televisions above me. I couldn't move. The other one was me frozen in ice watching people walk on top of me but not being able to get their attention. It terrified me just being left there. I was out for 2.5 days from an unintentional overdose, aka why the pharmacy always asks if you have any questions about that pill nowadays. I have no memory for about a day after waking up, but my family said I had some pretty rough things to say after my eyes opened. 0/10 would not recommend. I got in a car accident in 2016. No head trauma, thank God, but I was in and out of consciousness for about a week. I have 3 memories and flashes of asking for water about 1 trillion times. The 3 memories were: 1. My friend Rosa coming to see me. I think I woke up for like a minute and went back to oblivion. 2. Waking up and having a tingling feeling. I fractured 4 or 5 vertebrae and had a burst fracture on my L4, in my right leg. Notifying my mom or dad, honestly don't remember, who then got a doctor who promptly told everyone to leave. Then I was back out again. 3. Itching to my parents about one specific nurse who I blamed for not letting me have water in my haze of Drew Gus. Edit. 4. I remember signing some paperwork before going into the first spinal surgery. Release forms and a DNR. I fell into a coma after I got very drunk. Fell over. Cracked my head and had a bleed on my brain, had the last rites said as well. I was out for about 21 hours or so. I remember nothing of the coma. Just woke up with no recollection of what happened. Was a mixture of very confused, disorientated and had a standard shitty hangover. My cousin was hit by a car when he was in his early teens and was in a coma for about 6 weeks. He's in his late 20s now. He lives in a group home. Has the mental capacity of child. Is prone to often violent fits of rage and has very little impulse control. He cannot work a normal job. He will never be able to live alone. He cannot live at home because of his violent rages, not his fault, and will never have normal life. Comas and like the movies. Brain damages are ick. Man. Stories like that make me remember when I got hit by a car a few years ago. I apparently wrecked the whole front of the car. And it was going at 100 plus kmh, 60ish mph in American. And the only thing I broke were my glasses and 3 bones in my foot. The worst thing. IMO is the atrophy that happens while you're not moving. I was in a coma for a month and had to build my muscles up to be able to walk and climb steps again. I think I made it from my door to the next one the first time they got me out of bed. And I cried because of the mixture of physical and mental pain. The first time I tried to climb a flight of stairs I just went at it like normal and was exhausted before coming close to the top. The rehab person had to explain to me that for now it was getting both feet on the step before going for the next one, like how old people climb stairs. It ended up taking over a year before my body was anywhere close to normal. I also had this skin peeling on my hands and feet shortly after I woke up. Wow. A year's recovery after just 1 month of no movement. Air muscle atrophy is absolutely a horrible experience. My case is not even nearly as bad, but I broke my leg pretty badly back in July and having the cast removed early September, even though a month and a bit doesn't seem like a long time, I could barely move my leg at all. I had the same peeling of skin on my leg as it wasn't used. All the rough skin required for daily life has died off due to not being agitated like it would in a healthy person. Even after 2-month walking distances that before I would just a walk to the shop or such caused tiredness. I can't walk up more than a few flights of stairs without needing a rest. As my doctor told, it would still take me nearly a year until full recovery of muscles and full range of movement of my leg, and year and a half until the bone is fully healed. So yes, muscle atrophy is an absolute itch even if it is just single limb that wasn't used for slightly more than a month. My sister was in a coma for over a month from a car accident. She was asleep in the backseat on a road trip and her friend flipped the car on the freeway, trying to avoid something on the road by swerving. But in a panic she hit the gas instead of the brake. She had a bruise on her brain, which was kinda like her being mentally handicapped, but each day she got better. Now she's completely recovered and back to normal. When she woke up she told us she had a dream where some mystery guy shot her, and that's what she thought happened, with no recollection of the car accident. I was about 7 when it happened. I was playing around on a swing and apparently fell over and hit my head, also swallowed my tongue in the process. Fortunately people around were quick to react. Somebody reached down my throat and took out my tongue and called an ambulance. I don't really remember it all that. I just remember waking up at the hospital the next day. My mother was standing next to me, and as I woke up she started asking me questions like about what my name was or what her name was. I remember being really confused. I was like, "Mum, what sort of question is that turns out I've woken up at some point in the ambulance and had no idea who my mum and dad were, as they were in the ambulance with me. Definitely not a fun experience. But the worst part was that the doctor said I couldn't eat chocolate for like a month after that. I woke up in the hospital 3 days after an unintentional overdose of opiates and benzos. I remember projectile vomiting in my apartment, then waking up 3 days later with my girlfriend by my side. She showed up to find me unresponsive and barely breathing on my couch. As far as the coma itself goes, it was basically like falling asleep and waking up 3 days later. It was initially very confusing. I unfortunately didn't stop using Drugas for another year and a half. Edit. Just a clarification, I woke up in the hospital with my girlfriend by my side. not one. But my cousin was in one for a month. He woke up, looked around and began to scream like a lunatic and saying someone's name. However, after that day of waking up, he didn't remember a single thing. The name he was screaming was Anna, and no one there knew who Anna was. The doctors believe it was a deep coma dream. He spent 3 weeks after that shaking. He had a lot of issues walking properly and forming more than 2 sentences without stuttering like crazy. I'm very close with him. And when I ask him about Anna, his mood changes drastically and all he says is, "I don't wanna talk about it." Pursuing it further would make him break down crying or make him scream at you. He's a lot better now. Other than when he's asked who Anna was. Edit, before people ask. His coma was the result of a car accident. How do I know I'm not in one right now? And yeah, my brain messing with me? I completely misread this and was wondering what the duck did the commas do. I was in a coma approximately 2 weeks. My medical records say Glasgow coma scale of 7. I don't remember anything. I remember waking up tied down to a bed in a hospital. The nurse told me that I had tried to get up and that if I got up and got hurt he would be responsible. When I had the accident, I had a closed head injury, and I was paralyzed on my right side. They left me tied down for a while until I was transferred to Army Hospital. I had to learn how to walk and talk again. I was able to talk when I woke up, but I was stuttering enough to require speech therapy for a few months. It took a while before I could walk again, and a few months until I could leave the hospital. One of the things I remember was the orientation tests when I woke up. The doctors or nurses ask simple questions like, "What is your name? What day is it? Where were you born? Who is the president?" I believe I may have answered Ronald Reagan. A few years after George H. Capital W. Bush 41 was elected. I have a weird memory of the scene from the movie Born in East LA where they ask who the president is and he answered that actor. I had went from running 10 miles per day to not being able to walk. My mom said that she had talked to me while I was at St. Joseph Barrow Neurological Hospital. But I only remember the days after I came out of the coma before I was transferred to the Army Hospital. My mom came to the hospital, and she would push me around in the wheelchair. I never regained my physical abilities after the accident. I ride a bicycle a lot, but I never really started running again and I never regained my strength after the accident. Most people would never notice anything wrong with me, but there was enough damage for me to be medically retired from the army. It has been 30 years since the accident, so don't remember the details that well. Edited to fix some missing words and some typos. I don't remember the coma itself. I was conscious and then I woke up with my mom sitting next to me. Nothing in between. When I woke up, I assumed I was at home. Why would my mom be sitting next to my bed? Wait. This isn't my bed. Wait. Is this a hospital room? When did I get to the hospital? Why am I in a hospital? Why am I in pain? I was pretty much panicking here. Eventually, everything was explained to me and I calmed down. I had rolled my truck and hit my head 9 days prior. So, coma itself was ?10. Waking up after was pi/10. Would not recommend. It was absolutely beautiful. Well, the near-death experience. Mine was only like 3 days. It was pretty surreal coming back and then immediately very depressing after experiencing that peacefulness. Messed me up really bad for at least a year and still not who I was anymore. I was out about 13 days. Don't recall too much, but there were dreams that had familiar faces and places but not structured like an event so much. However, when I awoke, the most difficulty I had to deal with was finding a way to resolve the lost time. I was in a coma for 2 weeks and my family was told to start making arrangements. My wife and my 3 boys, all adults, were with me around the clock. I don't remember anything at all. But later, much later, when I made it through and was out of the hospital, I didn't feel like listening to music. especially the Beatles or Zeppelin, as well as some other which are my favorites, and I have playlists for all my different moods. It made me depressed and angry. We all had gotten together and I was told that. Shit, now I crying. My family played these playlists non-stop. The thing is, I always have some music on, and as far back as I can remember into my youth, I've had something always playing. Or at concert. Searching for new music. I'm now back, 2 years later, to listening to most of my favorites, but not with the same excitement. My father survived recently a cardiac arrest. He was in a coma for almost a week. When he was strong enough to talk, we asked him what does he remember. He said he remembers being wheeled constantly to different parts of the hospital. Endless doors. Constantly being wheeled in. Most likely it's a recurring scene of him in the ER as docs were trying to revive him. He was completely out for around 3-4 days and would wake up sporadically for the remainder of the week until he was finally released from ICU. We asked him if he saw any door or white light. Tunnel stuff. He said nope. Just doctors bustling around him.